Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Sasquatch Theory. And in today's episode, we have Tammy from the UP of Michigan to talk about her new encounters and experiences with everyone tonight. Tammy has been on a spiritual journey to understand the truths about the unknown and the possible connections with Bigfoot. I will leave a link in the description below if anyone is interested in listening to her first interview with me. Although I believe the Sasquatch are flesh and blood, I believe there are many parallels between these hominids and the paranormal. There are many worlds that exist beyond our comprehension, and it clearly states that in many ancient texts and beliefs. If this was not the case, then why would there be so many topics such as aliens, ghosts, and cryptids that we just can't understand and wrap our minds around? I believe that God, the great creator, has hidden many things from us, and it's a life journey just to understand our own physical lives, as if that's not hard enough to decode within itself. If you have a Bigfoot encounter that you would like to share on the channel, please be sure to email me or message me on Facebook or Instagram. If your encounter is in the comments, I may not see it. A lot of times I don't get notified just because my phone can only process so many comments at once, and sometimes it's months before I even see them. Plus the channel is getting to the point where I won't be able to read all the comments. Also, YouTube told me that if you have been unsubscribed from the channel, to take a screenshot of this and also the version of YouTube that you are using. I feel like that is just another excuse and it adds more work on me and you guys, but that's what they said to do. I really want to start a new P.O. box for the people who want to send in gifts to the channel, and you guys can send me anything, whether it's your own written Bigfoot encounters on paper, MREs, or food you want me to try when I go camping. Any type of camping gear, of course, or anything you want me to use out in the field to gather evidence. I am open to anything, and I appreciate the people that have sent things in the past. If you guys want to help the channel by donations, I would prefer you use the PayPal link in the description. You can use the YouTube thanks button, or you can purchase merchandise on the Spreadshirt website in the description down below. You can also join the membership page to help the channel out, and I really appreciate everything you guys do, and I do prove that I use all the donations to buy gear for the channel, and everything goes back to the channel, guys. The next set of items I am wanting to purchase is either the Tacticam Reveal cell phone trail cameras or the Spartan Go Live cameras. Let me know which one you guys think would be better in the comments down below, and if anyone is interested in purchasing some. Or maybe you already have some out in the woods. Let me know, guys. How do they work? I would really like to know. But yeah, guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's dive straight into this next episode with Tammy from the UP of Michigan. All right, Tammy, welcome back to Sasquatch Theory. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good. I'm glad to have you back on the show. Tammy, we've had you on as a guest before, and you talked about the deer that you found gifted, the rock with the strange symbol, and a lot of structures and the spiritual side of everything. You contacted me and you explained that you had an encounter and some other things that happened. If you would, dive into that and start from the very beginning, please.
Okay, no problem. And thanks for having me back on the show.
Yeah.
A lot has happened since we first talked, and I've moved residences, so my son and I are now in a different area, but just as close to nature as I was before. And when I first spoke with you, my first experiences were, I don't know how to say this. I mean, they were what I would call like the beginning stages of encountering Bigfoot, doing research. And I think when I met you, I had discussed my formal report that was published on the BFR website. And that was 6 years ago now. So I'm on this Sasquatch journey, 6-7 years. And things have changed a little bit. Well, not actually a little bit, a lot. And I kind of wanted to touch base with you again because since my initial um, time on your show discussing, I'm a psychic medium and I can see them in my third eye, and I've had a lot of Sasquatch interaction telepathically. Um, I've now jumped over into I've seen one on a trail in front of me in the new area where we live. And I mean, like right now I'm sounding excited because I was out in the woods all day today gathering what I can call my own evidence. So um um
This is in
we
Michigan, right?
yeah, this is in Michigan, the Upper
Okay.
Peninsula of Michigan. And we moved about an hour, I want an hour like west from where we were living, and my previous Sasquatch location that had the experience with the deer, and where my formal report was made from, that was a pretty good wooded area, hiking trail. Um, I think like 7 or 8 loops of trails, and I wasn't the only person that had had experiences out there, but one of the few people that was willing to come forward and kind of stick their neck out and talk about Sasquatch and interaction. Where we live now, I'm finding the area that I go seeking, whether it's communication, interaction, or just doing research, looking for structures or clues. It's a much larger area. There's more trails. There's more dense wooded areas. There's a lot more to explore than where I came from, which for me is great because the more room I have to explore and the less other humans I'm going to run into, the better. So um, I want to say it was probably July, August, because it was still warm out, was when I had what I would call my first experience. I mean, I've caught them out of the corner of my eye. Like I've said before, I'm convinced at this point they're interdimensional. They're flesh and blood. They're interdimensional. They can pop in and out. They know how to work with energy. They know how to do something that we are still trying to figure out. And so it's not like I've never seen them before, per se, but to see one walking down a trail coming towards me, this would be a first. So I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it, even though I, I know they exist. I know they're around, and I have had telepathic communication with them. But this was I'd say this is the first time with my eyes, um, at a trail, just doing a hike, and I was on the phone with my mom. I was just touching base with her, saying, "Hey, Mom, I'm out for a hike today. I don't know when I'm going to get back to you." And there was what it looked like from a distance, 2 people that were quite a ways from each other walking towards me. And as I'm on the phone with my mom and I'm paying attention to the trail and I see this person coming towards me and it was a female, I'm like, oh, looks like there's somebody behind her. Like I'd say half a block behind her. And so I'm on the phone with my mom and I said, I'm going to let you go because I want to continue my hike. And then the girl passed me and I turned around and watched her pass me. And I turned back and I saw this thing. What I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a Sasquatch. And it darted, it darted into the I don't want to say ditch, but like off the trail. So I kind of like started to hurry because at this point in my life, I'm not afraid. I used to be afraid. Um, it's sort of like when I used to do paranormal investigating. I would, I got to a point where I wasn't afraid because I had the tools to deal with spirits. So at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna like hurry my pace and see if I can see where it went. Well, when I reached the point where this, I don't think it was a full grown, I would say, um, juvenile to maybe older, but not like a full grown Sasquatch darted into the woods. It wasn't, I couldn't find it. Of course, I didn't find any tracks. So this was quite an exciting day for me. And that was probably back in late July, early August, where we currently live.
Okay, very cool. If you would describe the features on the Sasquatch, how tall was it? Did it have a round head, conical shaped head? Did you see any of the features on its face?
I didn't see the features. I
Mm.
wasn't that close, but I saw the head was round, and I would say from where I was standing, I mean, it was hairy from head to toe and a light to medium brown. And when I'm thinking about it darting, I don't know, somewhere between 6 and 7 feet. No, I'd say about 6 feet tall because when the girl was walking towards me, she was probably about 5'5", and this was taller than her coming up behind her. So I'd say about a little
Yeah.
over 6 feet.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
that
when
sounds
you're
about
in that,
average.
when you're in that moment, you're just like, what am I? What?
Hmm. Do you think it was stalking the girl?
I don't know. Um, I don't know. I mean, and why was I allowed to see it? And I mean, that's where I went. I went, okay, it's coming up the trail. Why am I allowed to see it? I think that's where I went. I didn't think about if it was stalking the girl. I mean, maybe. I've seen her on the trail. I've seen this particular girl on the trail before. I mean, there's a lot of familiar faces out there on the main hiking trail. But I just found it really strange that when I got to the point where it darted in to the woods, I didn't see it, and then it darted into the woods on the side of the lake. So it's not like it could have went too far because about, I don't know, 100, not 100 feet. I'm horrible with footage. It's not like where it darted in, it would have been able to go too far because there's a lake and it would have had to maybe duck down. But I stayed in the area for a little bit to try and like figure out where it could have went. And I was like, okay. So it's either cloaking again or I don't know, went through a portal. I don't know. I just know that this would be my first full on in the like not face to face because I wasn't right up to it, but this would be without using my psychic eye to see experience.
Okay. And were you communicating with them before this encounter in that same area? I mean, that's why you were out there, right? You were
Oh,
looking for
yeah,
Bigfoot.
yeah, absolutely. When we moved where we live now, I didn't waste any time going out to this very large hiking biking area and like wooded because it's more than that. There's outlying wooded areas. I did not waste any time getting out there looking for clues. I've taken many pictures of structures that I've shared with some other people who are in the Bigfoot field because I do know quite a few people who are in the Bigfoot field, and I've shared structures I have found in the new location with others. Um, and so I didn't waste any time when we moved to get out there and start researching, start talking out loud, because that is what I used to do in the old location. I would just start walking the trails and start making requests out loud and, you know, is there anybody out here? Does anybody want to connect with me? I mean, I do believe that the creature being is so intelligent that they can, you know, understand the human language and then discern if they want to interact or not, depending on, their they feel like it. Um, and I've always approached them on their terms. I mean, for the most part, I don't go antagonizing or provoking or forcing. I just go out and ask. I think that's partly why I think I get interaction is because I ask first and then wait. And if I don't get anything on a particular day, I usually go back. But I didn't waste any time at this new location getting out there and for the most part, what I would call leaving my trail. Like, okay, I'm out here today. Let's take this trail. Let's see what we can find. Let's sit down in the woods for a while. Let's show that I'm not a threat. Um, yeah.
Do you say it out loud that you want to
hmm
see him? Okay. And
hmm
do you ever get a reaction when you talk to him?
Sometimes I'll hear it, and this is always up for debate as well, because sometimes if I'm out there and I'm saying things like, "Are you out here today? Would anybody like to talk with me?" And then the next thing you know, I hear a bunch of crows. So is that them mimicking crows, or is that the crows talking to me? I mean, like, there is such a wide range of we don't know. I mean, if one isn't completely open-minded to the Sasquatch and what's possible, um, I'm gonna jump forward to today real quick because I was out in the woods for 3 hours today, and today's experience was interesting. I went to a location today where I'm pretty sure I was photobombed a few weeks ago. I was taking some pictures, looking for a new profile picture on my Facebook page, and I was taking some pictures. And I always come home and analyze all my pictures because I originally come from the paranormal field. So, you take pictures and you analyze them. So I come home and I'm analyzing my pictures, and I'm looking at 3 pictures that I took in succession where taken a picture of myself. And I'm like, I look like there's like a faint possible Sasquatch in the background in one of my selfie pics I took a few weeks ago. So my goal today was to go back out to that place and try and recreate the picture and see if the picture looks different than the 3 shots I took a few weeks ago. And I couldn't recreate the one picture that I'm questioning, that I'm going to probably send off to a few people and get their opinion on. Um, so when I was out there today, um, and I'm always looking for what I would consider their nesting areas or their maybe gathering areas, because I feel like at this point I can pinpoint there's areas where they might gather, whether they're cloaked while they're gathering or they're uncloaked and they just don't want when humans are around. I don't know. But today, after I tried to recreate the picture, I went to an area where I feel like it's a gathering spot out there for them. And I left some blueberries. I've done this before. The last time I left blueberries for Sasquatch, I got gifted a deer. So I did say out loud this time, I do not need a deer. I do not need any dead animals. I'm just leaving these blueberries here because I appreciate the interaction that I get. And I appreciate the, um, I'm just thankful and grateful that I get interaction and communication with your group. And that's pretty much what I did today in that one area. And I would have stayed in this little, what I would call gathering area, what it felt like a little gathering nesting area. I would have stayed, but it's fall, winter. Well, it's really winter here, but we don't have any snow yet, which is weird for December. But there's this trail that's not too far away from where I was today doing this gifting, and I wouldn't want anybody walking by. I wouldn't want anybody walking by and going, "What is that chick doing in the woods?" Talking to herself and gifting or like throwing blueberries out. So I thought, I'm gonna leave these blueberries and I'm gonna say a few things and then I'm gonna leave. And then as I was leaving, I heard a very loud, what I would call a stick break. And I just turned around and looked and said, thanks. And I left. And then I went on my way and I went like 4 miles in a different direction looking for other structures in a different area that I haven't explored out there yet.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember
yeah.
you emailing me some information about psychic abilities. Do you ever try the automatic writing?
No, it's not something that it's not in my tool bag, so to speak. Um, I don't, what you mean by automatic writing is sitting down and just start writing what might come to me?
Like, I think this email's from you. I put in Tammy. It says automatic writing. Automatic writing is a psychic ability that requires one to channel spirits in order to write messages from the beyond. But it could have been.
Yeah, I don't I'll journal, and I don't know if journaling is considered automatic writing, but like
Hmm.
I'll journal, but I don't if I'm going to channel whether it's a spirit or a Bigfoot energy, it's I'm going to say things out loud. I'm not going to write them. Um I mean I mean let's put it like this. As far as this is concerned, this whole situation, this all these new experiences I'm having now that feel leveled up compared to where I was a couple of years ago even. I reached out to you because I have got faith and trust in like how you tell somebody's story, so to speak. Like I'm not when I reached out to you this time, I thought, he's one of the few people in this field that I trust telling my stories to, because for the most part, I'm a private person and I go out there and I have all these interactions, and a lot of it I just keep to myself and very private. For one, because I like the fact, I like the whole, this is just my life. Um, it's part of who I am, and I like that private side of it. And then for the other reason, I don't I mean, there's obviously a whole host of naysayers and skeptics out there, and I'm so far past that. Like I am so far past anyone being skeptic or anyone doubting what I do or who I am, because it doesn't matter anymore to me. Like I think when you and I first talked, I wasn't as confident in my journey with Sasquatch as I am now. Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I can relate. There's been several times where I've been out in the woods and I didn't find much, didn't hear much, and I thought, man, that's weird. I haven't even heard a wood knock. And as soon as I think that, I hear the loudest wood knock, and it's like, man, that is
Mm-hmm.
strange. It's like they knew what I was thinking. And
Yes.
there's just other strange things as far as like, oh, that looks like a good spot for Sasquatch. I should pull over and check it out. Boom, awesome structures everywhere. It's like, wow, how does
Mm-hmm.
that work out?
It's like they led you there.
Yeah, I recently interviewed a lady that talks about pools or being like drawn to an area, and I think that's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And today was one of those days where I felt called to go out and try and recreate. I mean, it's a gloomy day here today. It was raining. I got rained on. I typically will not go out in the woods for 3 hours in crappy weather. And I mean, it's not that it's crappy, it's just that I'd prefer to be a little bit warmer, not so damp and raining. And I just felt like I had to go out there today. And did I get called out there? It's very possible I did.
Yeah, and how many Sasquatch do you think are in this new location?
Um,
It's kind of hard to say,
I
but
don't, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can. Well, so I'm going to have to probably go off of, I don't know if it's intuition or I would say there's probably groups of them in different. I don't think it's just one, let's say, I don't think it's just one family who's um, migrating through the whole area. I think that because when I've been on the backside of this area, which is miles away from where I was today, I feel like the Sasquatch that are in that area are a different family or group than the ones that I'm interacted with today with where I was photobombed. So I think there's different groups now. As far as how many groups, I don't know. Um,
yeah, cousins
because
and
how
uncles.
many, right? Like how many are allowing me to interact and how many are there that I don't even know?
hmm Yeah, there's
Um,
probably more than what you think.
mhm, probably.
Yeah, and when you say portals, do you mean like an opening, like some type of like hole that opens up, or do you do you think they're just cloaking and that's them going in between worlds?
Um, well, let's see if I can explain what I mean by, but like my my theory or my belief. I don't know how you want to look at it. Portals. I say the word portals because, like I said, I started out in the paranormal field, um, using my psychic abilities in the paranormal field, helping people solve their problems with spirits. I mean, I'm not just a psychic medium. I mean, you know that, but whoever may listen to this may not have heard my first interview, and so we can recap a little bit. A lot of people will enlist in my help when it comes to they have stuff going on in their land, whether they're they have what they think is entities, or maybe I don't like using the word demonic because I don't like giving energy that power, but
Mm-hmm.
I tend to get called to places. People will call me up and enlist my services to come to their land, come to their house, figure out what's going on. Because it might not just be mom and dad that are communicating from the other side. It might be someone brought in some dark energy from either maybe using a Ouija board with bad intentions, or maybe the land is tainted because someone put a curse on the land. So people tend to find me when they need somebody to help. And so I say the word portal because I've seen portals. I've seen where things had get brought through. Now,
Mm-hmm. Me too.
do I think Sasquatch uses portals? Well, I guess that's open for debate because if you subscribe to a lot of the Native American beliefs, there's a lot of Native American beliefs in that they use the trees. They use the energy from the trees to jump in and jump out. Now, do they or don't they? I don't know. But I do feel they're interdimensional and they are managing. I don't know if they've got their vibration is so high they're able to. I mean, I've seen in the paranormal world where things can come through portals. So I'm in agreement with that. There has to be some portal. There has to be portals. There has to be ways for them to be jumping in and out of
Mm-hmm.
someplace. Trees, the land, holes in the fabric. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Can you describe the portals that you have seen with your own eyes as far as in the paranormal world?
well, you mean seen with my
Oh,
psychic eye?
okay, yeah. Well, I don't know if I ever told you this story. There was this one time me and my family would go to Mexico every year, and we'd go to the state of Jalisco. And one time they all went out for the day, and I was at the house by myself, and I got really bored, so I went into town to the market, and they had like these torrented DVDs for sale, Mexico, of course, and I got some DVDs. It was The Exorcism of Emily Rose and a few
Yeah.
other creepy ones. Well, I went back to the house. I was watching the movie, and when I got halfway through the movie, the power just shut off in the house, like. So I was upstairs, like on the second floor, and I had to feel my way down the stairs, through the living room, through the hallway, and out the front door. Well, when I got to the front door, walked outside, and I was like, "Oh, thank God." I got outside, and as soon as I walked out, this black cat ran in front of me, and his hairs were all standing up, and he was like, like freaked out. And I was like, oh, okay, it was just a cat. Cool. Well, I looked like quartering to my left, and about, I don't know, I'd say like 6 feet in front of me, give or take, there's like this hole in the ground. It looked like somebody dumped like a bucket of paint on the ground, and it was like jet black. Well, like this figure stood up out of that hole right in front of me, and we were face to face, and it was a shadow person, and it looked like a mannequin like you would
Wow.
see at the mall, like the Silver Surfer, but jet black. And we stood face to face, but fight or flight kicked in, and I took off running. My parents had another house across the street, and I ran over there, and they're sitting down drinking tea and just talking, and I was like, somebody broke in, like somebody's over there, and they all got up and ran. When we went, there was nothing there, but I know what it was, but I just told them somebody broke in so they'd come and see this thing because it freaked me out. I didn't
Hmm.
want to go back by myself. But yeah, it was a portal. Like it was a hole in the ground, and this thing stood
Okay.
up out of it. So I always wonder if the Sasquatch are doing the same thing.
Well, I feel they're using the trees. I mean, if I had to like, if someone was to say, "Hey, what is your absolute, opinion," without really digging too far into it, I would say I think they use the trees. I mean, trees have energy. I do a lot of tree hugging, and trees have a vibration. Um, I think the bigger the tree, the bigger the bigger it is as a portal. Do they use the energy of the trees? I mean, that is at this point in this game, in this journey I'm on, anything is possible. I
No, that makes sense because it's kind of
um,
like a natural antenna, and it's pointing towards the
mhm,
sky and rooted into the
mhm,
ground. That kind of makes sense to me. And the Vikings used to talk about like communicating with the trees and like all kinds of weird stuff.
mhm.
I've heard Ron Moorhead say that the Sasquatch are in the trees, and
Mm.
it just makes me wonder.
Well, I mean, then there's so many Native American tribes that will not, they won't like their Sasquatch secrets are so guarded. They don't, and I get it. I get it. I mean, I understand. I mean, a lot of my interaction stuff, I don't want to share. I want to share. I think ultimately what it comes down to, I can't be the only psychic medium who can see them without seeing them. I can't be the only psychic medium who sees the parallels between the paranormal and Bigfoot and possibly aliens, even though Bigfoot and the Bigfoot doesn't have to be paranormal and alien doesn't have to be paranormal, but there's these parallels. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so, I mean, you have to have an extremely open mind
Yeah.
to to talk and delve into any of this stuff because that's the only way you're going to really experience and maybe get an understanding is if you open the mind and you got to kind of throw some logic out the window. I mean, be logical, but not to the point where, because when you're talking about portals,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, and you mentioned in the first interview that it was kind of hard to get your report up on the BFRO's website, wasn't it?
yeah, in the beginning, that was what, 2016, 17. I don't know. I haven't went back and read my report in a couple of years. But yeah, it was really hard for the researcher that that I sat down with and put my report together with to get it published because I'm a psychic medium and I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping we're getting past that. I mean, I'm at this point in the game with everything.
Yeah.
There's no reason why a psychic medium can't um, see Bigfoot. There's no reason why an average person, just a person that's, there's no reason why anybody can't have an experience in something. It shouldn't matter if you're a psychic or if you're just a sensitive or whatever talent you have. It shouldn't matter. I mean, it'd be no different if I was an accountant. It's just that, we've got stigma attached to everything.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see a new Bigfoot reality TV show, but instead of them going out like knocking and hollering and just looking for him, they should get like some of the best psychics and Native
Mm-hmm.
American people that know about Sasquatch and make a research group and go out there and communicate with them and see how they do. I think that'd be interesting.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to hold all kinds of different types of ceremonies in the woods if people are up for it. But I think that because I do fire ceremony events for setting intentions, because I'm also a life coach. So when people hire me to do life coaching stuff and they want to dig into the spiritual side, I'll put together fire ceremony stuff where we sit around a fire and we do intention setting. But there'd be no reason you can't, as long as your intentions are good, because like I said, I think there's various groups of Bigfoot, and some of them are friendly, some of them are not so friendly, but that doesn't mean that even the ones that are not friendly can't be friendly if they know how to discern who's trying to connect with them. Because I think there's different intelligence levels of Sasquatch. I think that depending on the location you're at, depends on their intelligence level. And what if there's a younger group, and I don't, like what if there's an ancient group that's 2,000 years old, or they've got like this history and they know how to discern people right away, or you're in a location where it's a younger Sasquatch group and they're afraid of people, so they're going to be cranky right off the bat. I mean, like I said, I've come a long ways with my thought process on a lot of this stuff, but yeah, I would love to take a group of people out and do some Native American ceremony stuff in the woods to try to connect and see what happens. I would love to do that.
Yeah. And it's not so hard to believe. There's a lot of people that say the CIA does remote viewing and they work with
Hmm.
psychics. And I think the FBI does too when they're looking for like bodies and stuff. They'll use psychics when
Hmm.
all the other methods have failed.
Um, since I talked to you last, I have been not by the authorities or anything, but since the last time you and I talked, I have been enlisted to help out with 3 different missing person cases to see if I can find things that are being missed. So I mean, psychics are usable for all kinds of things. Not that we, I know there's, and you know, that's a lot. There's a lot of debate with that too, because I know people will be like, well, if you're a psychic, why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? A lot of it is just we get the information we're meant to get, and then you just kind of got to put the pieces together. And sometimes those pieces getting put together take a village versus just one person, the psychic.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the information I come up with is going to help the information maybe an authority has, or maybe the family has, and then you add my piece, and then there's the answer, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um,
Like you get this image in your mind. Like let's say you see like this red hat sitting on the moss out in the woods, and maybe you tell the authorities that, and they say, "Well, she had a red hat when she went missing." Like that could help out.
right. Good.
Yeah.
Um,
Are there any dangers when communicating with the Sasquatch? Is there anything that people should look out for if they're trying to talk to them with the third eye?
well, I'm not an expert in any field. I'm just, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't like using the word expert. I don't think anybody should use it.
Mm-hmm.
I think my 20 plus years in the paranormal slash psychic field before I delved into Bigfoot, as I have gained some maybe tips and good tools. Um, First of all, I think it's important for a person to be um, extremely grounded. I think, and when I say by grounded, that means stable, getting out in nature, not being stressed out. And I mean, obviously life is stressful, but getting grounded with oneself is very important no matter what field you're going to get into. If you're going to be into the unknown phenomena and stuff, being grounded within yourself and being stable is very important. Um, Having good intentions, because if Sasquatch is as intelligent as a lot of Bigfoot researchers and people in this field believe, if Sasquatch has got an intelligence beyond anything we know, they're going to know if your intentions are good or not right off the bat. So approaching with good intentions, not barreling into the woods with a gun and weapons, thinking you're going to track this thing down, because that would probably not result in good interaction. That might result in getting growled at, or getting interaction that you don't want. Um, Being grounded, setting intentions, and asking I mean, we all have guides. Every single one of us has spiritual guides, has angel guides. We all have a group of guides that follow us from the day we're born. So enlisting in that, getting to know who your guides are, getting to know who your spiritual team is, and enlisting in them. I mean, these are all like tools you can have in your toolbox if you want to go out in nature and try and have interaction with them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense. And how has this evolved, your psychic abilities? How has it evolved since the last time we've talked? Do you feel like your third eye is a lot more, like you've worked it out and it's better now? I don't know what the
I
right word
feel
is.
like,
Like a muscle.
right, I know, right? Yes, like a muscle. Correct.
Mm.
Like I feel like I have leveled up. But I think and I feel like a lot of that has to not only do with the fact that I'm getting older and I'm old forever working on my self growth, but like I had said earlier, I did a certification in shamanic life coaching, and I think that that kind of catapulted me forward somewhat. Um, and I feel like things are a lot stronger and information comes in a lot quicker. And I mean, like when someone enlists in a reading with me, I feel like I get information faster than I used to. Um, and as far as like if I jump, let's say I'm okay, now I'm going to jump away from it's doing psychic readings, and now we'll talk about in the Sasquatch world. I think that um, I guess I could say it feels like I'm able to connect with them quicker, and I might just be coming up with that as a theory. Maybe I'm at a vibration where they feel they can connect with me quicker. I don't know. It just opens up more questions for me. Like it's a forever, we're here on this level now, so now what does it mean?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Do you think there's a connection with the Sasquatch and the giants of the old day?
What do you mean the giants of the old day?
Well, like in Lovelock Cave, I don't know if you ever heard that story. I think it's from like Nevada or Utah. Like the Indians claim that they killed red-haired giants and they piled up like a bunch of wood in the cave and like set it on fire. They were like red-haired, but I don't know. I don't know if there's a connection between the Sasquatch and the giants because I was listening to the stories from the Solomon Islands, and one of the tribal people out there said there's three types of giants, and he explained them all, and he said like the third one has like supernatural abilities and they can cloak, and he like drew a
Hmm.
photo of them and they were hairy. I mean, the foot was big. It looked just like Bigfoot.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because I've never heard. What was the name of the story? The Lock what?
Lovelock Cave in Nevada, and the other one
I got to
is
write this down.
yeah, write down Lovelock Cave. There's a documentary about it on
Okay,
YouTube, a really good one. And
I
the
got to check it
Solomon
out.
Islands, like soldiers used to run into them, and I mean, yeah, apparently they're cannibals. But it sounds like to me the Sasquatch are a little bit different because a lot of people try to kill off the giants of the
Mm,
past, and Sasquatch, it seems like they're a little bit different. They don't have like the six fingers, six toes, two rows of teeth. Um, there's
mm.
something different about them, but I didn't know if you had any information about it.
No, I've never heard of that. Never heard of the Lovelock Cave. I never heard of burning the red giants, red-haired giants.
Yeah, there's a
That's
picture of the Native
interesting.
American woman, and she like wove the red hair of one of the giants into her like her I don't know, whatever she was wearing, but it's interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah, I don't. It seems like and I think a lot of people who are on any Sasquatch journey, doing research, trying to get evidence, or trying to rationalize any of their experiences, I think every little thing that happens that you feel a Sasquatch, it just opens up more questions.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it does. The next time I
I
go out to the
mean,
killing fields out at my friend David's place, instead of like wood knocking, calling, setting up audio recorders, I'm gonna make a fire and I'm gonna try to talk to him. I'm
yes,
gonna do something different.
yes, do it. Make a fire. Bring some. Can you have access to any cedar?
Yeah, yeah, I have a ton of cedar around here. That's
Um,
what we do. At another location, we burn fire and we put like some cedar in there, some pines, and
mhm,
supposedly the cedars got some like I don't know the Native Americans said that it's got like a spiritual
mhm,
side to it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Start a fire and sit around and set some intentions. And it's just sit back and I just feel like it's okay. Let me reword that. I don't feel like I know that when I go walking in the woods and I get on their terms, when I walk in with the intention that I'm on their terms, I get more interaction than when I go out there. Oh, I'm going to look for evidence today. I'm it's like they read my thoughts. If I'm out walking in the woods with the intention to find evidence, look for more structures, and yeah, I think I'm going to get some interaction today. It seems like I have less than when I just relax, I surrender, and I go out there and I just let them kind of guide me wherever I need to go, and I just kind of, okay, what you got? I mean, it's almost like it has to be on their terms. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who says that. It's
Yeah.
like it has to be on their terms. So I think that, um, I mean, I understand that when people, I mean, because I mean, I've been in groups before where knocking and whooping gets results, and that's cool stuff. But I
Hmm.
feel like that's entertainment for them. And this is my opinion, and then no one has to agree with this. I feel like that is entertainment. And I'm not saying that probably everything we do is entertainment to them, for all I know. But I feel like if I'm going to go out in the woods and I knock on a tree, I feel like it's entertainment versus if I go out to the woods and I just sit there and I wait and I be patient and I just openly say, hey, if you want to communicate with me today, that's great. I can hang out, I can walk around, whatever. I mean, I literally will talk out loud and say these things. That seems to be where I get more interaction than if I'm actually trying to provoke it or seek it. Do you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you ever watched Bigfoot Odyssey. There's this episode
Mm-mm.
from a guy named Mark Barton from the Trail to Bigfoot, which is like a group from Florida. But he lit a fire one day. He really wanted to see these things, and he said he built like the biggest fire, and he was sitting in a chair, and apparently like this thing came up behind him and like put its hands on his like shoulders and like held him down. But yeah, the interview on Bigfoot Odyssey is scary because he's like crying. He's not all there, and it really messed him up.
Because he had something invisible touch him.
I don't know if it was invisible. I think he saw hands, but like I think it like
Oh,
mind spoke to him. I'm not sure. I'll have to
okay.
watch it again, but it was hard to follow just because he was so torn up about it. But I'll send you that
Well,
interview.
okay. Yeah. Well, I get emotional. I mean, I think that they have the capability of putting their emotions onto the humans that are willing to, surrender enough where you might want to feel what they feel. I mean, there's been times I've been even where we used to live there was a couple of instances where I became very emotional sitting next to the river, feeling like I'm having telepathic communication, and I feel like I'm feeling their emotions. And it's happened to me up here as well. Um, but I have trust too. I mean, I feel incapable of trusting um, whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but like,
You trust that they're not going to
yeah,
bring harm to you.
that's it, right? That they're not going to bring harm to me because my intentions are good, and I do have a pretty good spiritual protection team. Because I have to. I mean, I have to have a protection team just when I get pulled into paranormal stuff that people are dealing with that I don't know how to deal with. But my intentions are good and my intentions are pure. So I think that opens that divide even more to where they are comfortable basically projecting or letting me feel their emotions, so to speak. So maybe that was, why he was torn up because they impressioned on him and it was hard to handle.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like it. And
Hmm.
I'm just hoping I don't have an experience like that. Hopefully, like they're friendly, like they have been, and everything goes right. I've had a few scares where like I've heard like deep guttural growls, and I've just turned around
Hmm.
and walked back home. One time they howled, or not howled, they like whooped. It was so loud, it was like a sonic boom, and I was hunting, so I got up and just left. I was like, whoa,
Hmm.
that's not cool.
No, and I mean, the very first experience that I had that became a part of the BFRO report, the call, the vocal that my friend and I heard as we were leaving the woods that night was so deep and so intense that we couldn't wait to get back to our vehicles. And I look back now and I think if I was to hear that same vocal now, I would actually stand still and just see what would happen next. Because I now know that that was in that instance, if I look back on how it felt, if I take fear out of it, they were literally saying, hey, we know you're out here and we're just letting you know we're here. And but there were other instances, there have been other instances in that location where I felt pushed out of the woods. And I'm not the only one, where I feel like maybe I've been invading their space and they didn't feel like being invaded. But I've never had if I take fear out of the equation, I've never had an experience where I've been harmed. The deer, getting gifted the deer was freaked me out. But I mean, I gifted first. So I gifted first, and then they gifted me a deer. And I was very afraid to go back to that spot for a very long time. But over the course of where I'm at now and the various Bigfoot researchers and other people in this field, it's kind of like there's this consensus that was a gift and I should not be afraid of it. But I mean, obviously they are a powerful being, because when you go to a place where you've gifted and you see a deer with a broken neck and broken legs, of course that's going to freak you out. But I look back at it now and there was really nothing to fear with that. They were just gifting me in return. But even being pushed out of the woods, feeling like they're walking right behind you and they're like escorting you out of the woods because they just don't want you there, I still haven't been harmed.
What do you think about the little people? Do you believe in them?
And what do you mean by the little people? Gnomes or
Well, like I hear a lot of
fairies
stories from,
or
I don't know what they are, in the UP of Michigan and like northern Minnesota as well. Like there's like these little people, like pygmy people, and they're tricksters and they'll take your stuff. I hear it from a lot of people, personal friends too.
really? I've never had an experience with little people. I've seen fairies before, but I've never and I've seen elementals before, but I've never seen what you would call little people. Pygmies? They look like pygmies?
Yeah, they're like 3 or 4 feet tall and they're super fast, and they'll take your stuff.
I wonder what dimension they came in on.
Yeah. Well, they say there's different types of Sasquatch, and like I was telling you earlier about the Solomon Islands, the natives there say there's 3 different types. One is like the little ones, the other one's like the gorilla type, and the third kind is the cannibal, can go invisible, has supernatural abilities, and
Okay.
it seems to line up with what's going on in North America.
Interesting.
I emailed you the Bigfoot Odyssey one, the Lovelock Cave
Okay.
one, and the Solomon Islands, so you can check them out.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do that because I don't have anything else going on tonight.
Yeah.
The Lovelock Cave, I've got to check that out because I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, that's the most interesting one. It seems like a lot of these giants had red hair, and I don't know what the significance behind that is, but yeah, it makes me believe in a lot of the biblical stories that were told and ancient stories from the natives. Seems like it all lines up, at least in my mind it does. Okay, so
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
let's see. What do you think would be the best thing to gift the Sasquatch? What do they like?
Well,
What do you like to gift?
today I gifted blueberries.
Okay, yeah, blueberries.
um, gifted blueberries. This is the second time I've gifted blueberries, but like I said, this time I gifted blueberries and I said out loud, I do not need you to leave me any dead animals in return, and I really don't need you to gift me back. I am just gifting you blueberries because you have allowed me in your space. You have led me to a spot that feels like a gathering place, and I really do not need anything in return. If you wanted to return something to me, leave some rocks, but you do not have to kill anything. I think I've learned my lesson because the last time I did that gifting, the squash and the blueberries, it was because I had found this rock, and that's in the other podcast we did, where I had found that rock on an expedition, and that led into the elder that gave me my Native American name told me to take the rock to a river where I've had Sasquatch activity and wash the rock and say some prayers and gift Sasquatch or gift squash and blueberries. But that's where I left it. I didn't, vocally say, hey, I didn't know what I didn't know that maybe I should add anything to that. So then, a couple weeks goes by and all this stuff happened, and I've got a deer, and I don't even I laugh about it now. But at this point in the game, I'm going to gift blueberries, and I'm going to ask that I not receive any dead animals. They're more than welcome to telepathically speak to me when I'm at home, because I've talked to other people who have that long distance telepathic communication with them, which I find very interesting. And they're more than welcome to, if they feel like I need to come back out and explore another area, just show up in a dream. Whatever. But the other stuff that I would gift is like I've gifted pine cones. I've gifted rocks out of my rock collection. I've gifted feathers. I've gifted chaga mushrooms off the birch tree. With the intent of, here, this is for you. I don't need anything in return. I just appreciate your communication. That's where I'm at now with gifting.
Yeah. And did you ever figure out what that strange symbol on the rock meant?
No. Most everybody who has looked at it feels it's a dragonfly.
Yeah, it does look like one.
Yeah, a couple of people that are also gifted in the psychic realm have held the rock and have said that they think it's ancient and not from the area of where it was found. And that they felt, I think, ancient Native American, not maybe Native American, but ancient fingerprint on it, like an energy that's ancient. So how did an ancient rock end up in northern Michigan at a expedition spot in the middle of the road with an etching on it that looked like a dragonfly? And why did I find it?
Yeah. And there's evidence that points towards the Vikings being in Minnesota and I think the Michigan area.
Really?
Yeah, they
Well, that
found
wouldn't
relics.
surprise me.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a show out there that went for a few seasons? Hang on now. I'm having
Oak
wasn't
Island?
it called America Unearthed?
Yeah.
Where a man, and I can't remember his name, and I should, because one of my friends from farther up north is friends with this guy who did this show, America Unearthed. That's right. And he kind of goes to different locations and finds relics and finds
Yeah, he's from Michigan.
ancient symbols.
Yeah.
Finds ancient symbols that, how did they get here? History needs to be rewritten type stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good show. I like him. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, I just can't remember his name, which I'm horrible with names anyway, so.
Yeah, I don't know his name. I just looked it up on YouTube and I was like, "Yep, I know that show." That's an interesting series, and he brings up a lot of good points.
Yeah. The guys that do the Oak Island show are from where I'm living right now.
Really?
Yep.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, they're from Kingsford, Michigan, and I'm just on the border of Kingsford, Michigan, and they were up here for the 4th of July doing the parade. I wasn't around. I was out of town, but I just find that very interesting that I move to this tiny little town where the guys that do the Oak Island show grew up. I just find that it's such an interesting fact.
Yeah. All right, I'm bringing up your BFRO report, and it's still up there from 2016. It is
Hmm.
BFRO report 56552. In
That
case
sounds
anybody wants
about
to check it
right.
out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's still there though. I was just checking. You'll have to
Yeah,
read
and
it
I
to
think
see if anything's changed.
I think there has been another one added since mine from this area. I don't from the local area. I don't remember. I haven't been on the BFR website for a while because you know, I keep doing my thing. I just keep moving forward, and then every once in a while I refer back to stuff. But I think if I was to read my report now, I'd probably chuckle because I probably sound naive compared to where I'm at.
Yeah. One thing that I think would help you out is I think it's Small Town Monsters. They have this map called the Bigfoot Mapping Project, and you should check it
Okay.
out because if you look on your area, I'm sure you'll see a lot of reports.
Small town monsters.
Bigfoot Mapping Project. They have an old map and a new map, but man, there's so many reports
Hmm.
on there, and it seems like they have the BFRO reports on there as well.
Yeah. I haven't I've been doing my own thing since I moved up here. I didn't go on the expedition this past, so we're in December. I have to think now. I did not, well, we just moved again. My son and I have had 3 moves in 16 months, so it's been an interesting situation. And once we made the move where we're at now and I was able to get settled, I just been doing my own thing, trying to keep, I'm trying to create my own, I don't want to say theories. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to basically just do my own thing and see where I end up without the input. I mean, there's a lot of Bigfoot researchers out there that I follow. There's a lot of people in the field with obviously different perspectives, different ideas. You know, you've got your scientists, you've got me on the other end. I'm a psychic. You've got your everybody in the middle, anatomy people, biologists, anthropologists. You have them all, and I will read other people's stuff here and there, but I'm trying to just stay in my own lane and do my own thing and gather all my own stuff. I just don't know what I'm going to do with it. I haven't decided that yet because I mean, we've only been settled since March.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I said, I reached out to you because I know you and I really enjoyed being on your show the first time. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna share the update with Miguel.
Well, I appreciate that, Tammy, and I always enjoy speaking with you. And yeah, it sounds like you had a really cool experience, and I don't know, I feel like they were drawn to you. Like maybe it was coming down the trail to
It,
to meet you.
yeah, I don't know. It said it's like that very first experience when I had the very first experience with the eye in the tree or the light in the tree that I wasn't sure if it was an eye or if it's an orb or what it is. And then
Mm.
my friend and I had heard the steps, and then we ended up with that really loud guttural like call as we're leaving the woods. That first experience, it took me a while to wrap my brain around what did we just experience. So this experience with seeing one on a trail and then dart towards the lake, I'm still digesting that. And that was end of July, early August. I'm still digesting it.
Yeah, it takes a while for
Hmm.
our minds to decode what the heck happened.
And you're the third person I've shared this with.
Well, I appreciate that, Tammy.
You know, I have to process it for a couple months before I open my mouth.
Yeah. A lot of times, like, it takes me like a few days, weeks, or months to be like, oh my gosh, that was Bigfoot. Because I'll just
Yeah.
walk out of the woods being like, what the heck happened? What was that? And then I start hearing other people's reports and start connecting the dots. And I'm like, oh my God, that was Sasquatch.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's very important for anyone who gets into the field of like research with Sasquatch and having experiences. I think it's important to like obviously listen to other people's views and opinions, but to be reminded that it could be just like, though everybody has their, like right now, right? These are my experiences. I'm forming my opinions. I'm forming my own theories, but that doesn't mean that the next person is going to have the same exact. I mean, there's things I do believe at this point. So like, I think it's important for people to touch base with others, but to do some like deep intuitive work so you can find your own path with it. And I don't know if that makes sense. I know what I'm trying to say, but that doesn't mean everybody knows what I'm trying to say.
No, that makes sense. In the beginning, when I started off, like doing my own thing, I had way more experiences and encounters. And it seems like once I started the channel, like I don't know, started listening to everyone else. Like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to go here, you need to go there. It kind of like took me off my path. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's like you have to stay. You can
I veered off my
take
lane.
yeah. Yes, you can take information from others. You can take the information that, and listen and observe, but you have your own path with it.
Mm-hmm.
And and then, you obviously along the line on your own path, you're going to meet up with others who have this similar thought process with it. But I think there's just so much more. Like I'm so excited to see like the next couple of years where where this is going to take me. Um, there was a gap there where I didn't have any time to do any looking, seeking, researching, or just sitting back and letting them come to me because we were in the middle of moves. We've been through a lot since I talked to you last, but I'm glad that I'm finally able to pick it back up, and it just feels like it's like I've jumped into a level that I don't know how to explain it, but I'm excited to see where, what's next. And I'm really grateful that where we landed, that this group is willing to have interactions with me. Because
Yeah.
sometimes I prefer forest creatures over humans.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. And you got quite the backbone to share the information that you did, just because if it's not like your classical Bigfoot encounter, it walked in front of my car and I never saw it again. You know what I mean? If it's anything outside of that, people don't believe it, especially when you talk about like orbs, cloaking, psychic abilities. And I don't know, it's hard for me to keep up with the comments, but when people talk about like psychic abilities and Sasquatch, man, the things that people say in the comments are just so rude, and you can tell that people are not open-minded. And I don't know.
And I've evolved, and it's a confidence level at this point. And I'm not saying I'm cocky confident, but I'm confident in, well, not only my psychic abilities, because I get hired to do all kinds of stuff. I mean, I've been a psychic medium for what, 20 plus years now, and I do readings and I do life coaching, and I'm a health and wellness educator. And I mean, there's this large background. And then and the company I keep, we're all the company I keep is pretty much a group of professionals. So I have that confidence that I'm surrounded by people that we support each other with our goals. And then with the whole Bigfoot thing, I'm just at a point now where I'm like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I know what I know. I know my experiences are real. And someone's either going to resonate with that or they're not. And on another note, there's going to be someone out there who's going to be like, I get what she's saying. Because there's been times in the past where, I've been in that position where someone will be speaking about something spiritual and they'll be like, aha, that makes sense to me, and sometimes people just need that. But unfortunately, we're still in a world where there's just a lot of skeptical, and there's a lot of narrow-minded logic. And I'm not saying that's bad, because we do live in a world where 1 out of every 10 paranormal groups is authentic and the other 9 suck.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I say that?
You can say that. It's all right. I'll put it out there on my show. But the ones that are on point. It's pretty freaky the stuff they come up with as far as like paranormal researchers. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't have the balls to do that. Like I've seen some YouTubers where they go into these places that are abandoned. People have done like evil rituals there, and
Hmm.
I don't know how they do it. I don't have the mental capacity to deal with that. I've dealt with a lot of paranormal stuff, and it really haunts me.
Right.
The Bigfoot stuff lights up my brain and gets
Yeah.
the gears going, but yeah, the paranormal stuff, it really I don't know. It can
Well,
freak a
yeah.
person out.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be involved in if it wasn't a calling and something that my soul's mission is here to do is to help people deal with their really dark energy stuff. I mean, if I wasn't called to do that, I wouldn't be involved in it.
Hmm.
Um,
I used to
but
hear
yeah.
like, I don't know, I think it even says it like in the Bible, like in church, people would say like God's invisible. Like, I don't know. To me, I was like, what? God's invisible. Kind of sounds made up. But whenever I experience pure evil in my house, something invisible, like playing my guitar, kicking things around, I was like, man, that's true. I guess these things really are invisible. Even God, angels, like there could be an angel
Mhm.
standing right next to you and you wouldn't know it. That's freaky.
Right. It is.
Hmm.
I mean, we're in a dimension and there's dimensions all around us and they're constantly interweaving with each other, whether we know it or not or believe it or not. Um,
Yeah.
and but not everybody, I mean, you have your people walking this planet that are walking with good intentions. You have people who are walking with bad intentions. And, I mean, the energy is playing with energy. You're either playing with it in a good intended way, or you're playing with it in a bad intended way. And I'm sure there's people that walk a fine line. Um, so there's a lot of invisibility in this world, and
Hmm.
I just,
I watched a video. They were talking
yeah.
about, oh man, what's it called? What's his name? Elon Musk is he's been diagnosed with it. What's it called? Autism. They say people with autism can think at like higher capacities, and they're more likely to see like UFOs and spirits and things like that because their brain's like firing nonstop, and they're able to pick up on more detail than most people. And I don't know. I guess there's a science behind it. Apparently, like scientists are actually studying it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I don't know what level of autism would be, because obviously there's a spectrum. There's, high functioning and then there's low functioning. And I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, unfortunately, if you are in the spectrum where you are nonverbal, then we don't know. Um,
Yeah, my
but
my buddy has a
yeah.
sister that's autistic, and she's definitely crippled by it. But I mean, I swear, like sometimes she's
Mhm.
talking to like something invisible. Like she rocks back and
Mhm.
forth, and she'll be looking like at the sky, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of eerie.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, in autism, that is a whole nother conversation
Hmm.
and what
Yeah.
goes with that. But yeah, I mean, I've done some reading on the autistic and the brain and their sensitivity level and being able to see, hear, and feel, and
Hmm.
on a level that, is high.
I used to
Um,
have like an ability or abilities, but like I never harnessed them. When I was younger, like I would think like, man, this person hasn't called like in a year, 2 years, and boom, like as soon as I think that, the phone rings and it's that person. Another time, my brother had his friend Robbie over. I think I told you this story. He had his friend Robbie come over, and I was probably like 13 at the time. He stayed the night, and I woke up that next morning, like at like 5 or 6 in the morning, maybe earlier. And as soon as I like stood up from my bed, I'm like, Robbie's dad passed away. I don't know how I knew that, but I said that out loud. And like the door was barely cracked in my bedroom and I can hear voices. I'm like, what is that? So I got up, walked out there, and I saw my dad standing in the living room with my brother and Robbie. And I asked him what was going on. He said, Robbie's dad passed away last night and he had a heart attack. But I don't know how I knew that. It was
yeah, I
weird.
remember you. I remember you telling me that on one of our conversations.
Hmm.
You knew it. You just picked up on it. It was
Yeah.
something that you were able to pick up on. It's that, whether it was a premonitionary thing or it's just somehow you got that information.
Yeah, it was just like a
And
knowing, like I knew. Like my
hmm
my inner self told my mind that. I'm like, what? and that's what happened. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's still there and I can still harness it. Like I said,
I'm sure it is.
I'm gonna try that when I go researching. I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna talk out loud. Me and some friends talked about getting like some Indian drums and having a little powwow.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And drumming, yeah, because drumming raises the vibration. So, and if, the theories I've been listening to and researching about vibration and raising consciousness, and I mean, with my shamanic training, I got into so much of that, the theory of, if you raise your vibration, oh, I don't know how to explain it. You raise your vibration and your consciousness level goes up, and then you can see more, hear more, be more aware. So if Sasquatch is on a level that we haven't reached because we aren't working on it, but let's say you work on it, and drumming is a way to work on it, because drumming is a beat, and I mean, all music has a beat, all music has a resonance. I mean, I swear this is why Native Americans are into drumming, because they're gonna connect with spiritual guides, entities, Sasquatch, whatever. So I mean, if you get some people together and all of you have clear intentions and set your intentions that you are looking for positive interaction, and you do some drumming, you need to keep me posted.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. Speaking to him, the drumming, the fire, and burning some cedar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think that pretty well covers your story. Do you have anything else you'd like to talk about or add? I mean, I still got time if you want to. I just didn't want to hold you up more
I
too long.
No, I want to ask you. I want you to go back to that
Mm-hmm.
that portal, that black portal with the figure that came out of it. What became of that afterwards?
Like, did it ever follow me around?
Yeah, did anything else happen after that
Not there
at that
because
location?
no, because that was in Mexico and we only stayed there for 2 weeks at a time each year.
Okay,
But
okay.
when I moved to a place across town here, I had a lot of paranormal activity. Like it got so bad to where like I had to like rebook it in the name of Jesus. Like it got that bad. It was freaking me out.
Wow.
So I feel like
Is
it's the
it?
same thing because at another
Yeah.
location, I was telling my friend that I was telling him about the Mexico story with the shadow person. All of a sudden, like the lights in the yard started to turn off, or no, they started to turn on. There was like motion lights throughout the yard, and one after another they turned on. My friend's wristwatch was like going off. His alarm would just keep going off nonstop, and I had a little light next to me, a little O light, and it turned off all at the same time while I was telling him about the shadow person story. So I feel like, yeah, there's like an attachment.
You sure? I don't know. Maybe you've got some telekinetic powers.
You think
Look
so?
up telekinesis. Yeah, look up telekinesis. I think that's what I'm trying to get at, is telekinesis, where you can manipulate the energy around you through words and thoughts. And I don't know, I think you should do some research on that.
Yeah, I will.
But so the thing in Mexico, you think it was just the land? What's your feeling on that? Do you think it was the land was tainted? Someone did some stuff there, or?
Well, I noticed like the gravel road that runs right past the house. Like if you look at the rock, it's like clear crystal rock. Like the stuff you see like in those caves in Mexico where it's all big crystals. It's like that. There's a bunch of crystals everywhere. Really nice
Okay.
ones. So that's the only thing that I could put to it. Another thing was like whenever I was watching that movie, the priest was like trying to drive the demon out of like
Hmm.
that girl, and that's when the power went out, like when he was doing the exorcism, which
Okay.
was really freaky because that was like the most freaky part of the movie. And the lights turning off, I feel like when this thing manifested, it sucked all the power out of the house. And that black cat, I don't know where the heck that thing came from because I've never seen it before, and its hairs that were like raised up, you can tell like there was like a feeling in the air, like in the atmosphere, something
Hmm.
spooky. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody
Hmm.
was killed there for all I know. It's Mexico.
Right. Right. And then when you moved and you had that at when you
When I moved across town.
yep.
Hmm.
Do you know much about the history, the place, or?
I contacted somebody, like, like the psychics that you can call, and they just tell you by phone. I don't know if they're accurate, but they said like a little boy died there and an old lady,
Hmm.
but I don't know for sure.
Is this place, so you don't live there anymore, right?
No, no, but I mean, it was like a mile out of town, and there was Bigfoot activity there, UFO stuff, and the paranormal. And there's just
Oh,
not enough
wow.
woods to hold the Bigfoot. There's just like a strip of woods, and it's between like old 66 highway and I-44. So there's like farmland in between there. Like, you would never expect a Sasquatch to be in that area, but I don't know.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder about this all the time though. Like every day, like I think about the Sasquatch and the paranormal encounters and just try to figure
Yeah.
something out. But
Yeah, I don't, I think there's a common thread, and I wrote this down when I was journaling today about the parallels. I'm doing some, and I'm just doing some journaling and how I'm seeing parallels between, you know, I mean, Bigfoot, paranormal. And then, like I said, I'm not saying Bigfoot is paranormal. I'm not saying paranormal is alien. I'm not saying alien is paranormal. I just see some parallels, and
mm-hmm.
I don't know what I mean. I don't know what I mean past that. Like I said, I have notebooks. I've got a ton of notebooks that go all the way back to when my journey started here, and I go back and read some of the stuff, and I'm just building. I don't know. I'm building a library of experiences. Maybe I'll put it in a book. I know that the my friend Tyler Tischler that I wrote the book with, Marquette Haunted Marquette. See, I don't even remember what book I co-wrote, which I think is really funny because this is how I am. I forget things. So um, he keeps telling me I need to write a book. I need to sit down and go through all my journals, and I need to put it together in a book form. And I think at some point I might, or I won't. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you need to.
Because maybe some people could learn from, you know,
Yeah, I think
or
so.
identify or learn, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, there's going to be a lot of new people who run into this type of phenomenon and experience like psychic anomalies, and they're not going to know what to do, where to go, who to talk to. So, writing a book, I think, would help out a lot of people.
Yeah. I just have to be focused.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things
Take,
where you kind of have to stop
yeah,
everything else you're doing just to get that done. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a possibility. I get nudged every now and then from Tyler to do that. Hey, you should really write a book, and I'm like, yeah, okay. But yeah, I can't think of anything else that I want to add to today's talk.
Okay. Well, Tammy, I appreciate you for getting in contact with me and sharing your experiences and your new encounter with all of us. And yeah, I think it's important information to discuss just because I've heard it from a lot of people. A lot of people are experiencing this type of phenomenon, and not just with Sasquatch, but with aliens, paranormal, and
Hmm.
unknown communications. You know what I mean? Like, it's good to talk about it because it's actually happening.
Right, um, and people are either going to be like, "Yep, I get it. I needed to hear some of that, or not hear whatever." Like I said, at this point, none of it matters. All that matters is that I share something that someone will resonate with and do better than you. And by the way, I want to send you. I got to send you some photos I want you to look at and get your opinion on.
Okay. Yeah, send them on over and I'll check them out for sure. Tammy, you have yourself an excellent night and take care of yourself. If you experience anything else, feel free to reach out and we can certainly talk more in the future.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go now and you have yourself a good night and hopefully we talk more.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, Miguel.
All right. Thank you, Tammy. Have a good one.
Yep, you too.
Bye. All right, Tammy, thank you so much for reaching back out and updating us on your new encounter, and it was a pleasure speaking with you. It's definitely food for thought, and I guess I never asked during the interview, but what were you thinking or saying out loud when you had this encounter? It makes me wonder if the Sasquatch are able to understand what we are thinking in our minds, and that language is universal and you don't always have to physically speak with your mouth to understand it. If the Sasquatch are using portals or dimensions to travel, I wonder what else they can do. And like I said during the interview, I've had moments out in the woods with the Sasquatch where they seem to know how I'm feeling, what I'm up to, and what I'm thinking. Or it's just mere coincidence, but I swear, guys, it's happened a few times and it's pretty weird, and I've wondered about that for many days now. But yeah, guys, if you have a Bigfoot encounter that you would like to share on the channel, email me, contact me by Facebook or Instagram, just because, like I said earlier, it's really hard for me to read every single comment and try to look for stories, but I'm still going to do that. But just know that if I don't get back to you, I may have not seen your comment. Also, a lot of people reach out wanting to do a live interview, and it's only one or two things, like maybe they heard a wood knock and had a scream happen in the past, but I don't think that's enough to make a video. So if you would, write up your story, email it to me, and I'd be glad to read it off. It's just really hard to do an interview whenever somebody only had a few experiences. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for listening tonight. Thank you guys, and have a good one. Take care, everyone.